And in history, the students study the spirit of enterprise, of the people who left the old world for the new, the pioneers who journeyed across the plains and the covered wagons, the man who created Swift Meats, who butchered his meat in Chicago, decided to send it further afield, traveled to city upon city, started to realize he had to build warehouses to keep his meat protected, but he had to also change the schedules of all of the train companies to get them to realize that the timing of the departure had to be related as soon as possible to the timing of the arrival. Finally, as he coordinated that, he even created refrigerated cars. Or somebody like a Lillian Wald who decides to help poor people in the cities. And since some of them are so sick they can't come to her, she goes into their tenements, her eyes are opened, and she gets many other people to help nurse in the tenements. Eleanor Roosevelt comes, they climb up floor by floor, they get to the top floor, they get on the roof, they jump across the narrow gap, go down into the other buildings next door, and revolutionizes the whole world of health care. Or in the second history course, they study the voices of liberty, of course the voices of the independence of the longest running democracy in all time, and the voices of the reformers of abolition of slavery, the rights of women, Dorothea Dix, who helps give attention to the plight of the criminally insane throughout the country so that they can become treated with respect and enjoy fields and trees and the company of each other and healthy people as well. The students often begin the year with the history of drama, which serves in a way not so much the physical world around, but which certainly is the keynote for the whole unfolding of the soul, because the students go back to ancient Greece and the origins of drama in the mysteries of the death and resurrection of Dionysus, and they experience that all of Greek drama unfolded out of those mysteries of death and resurrection, and that even throughout the course of drama up to Shakespeare's Globe Theatre and even into Raisin in the Sun in the 20th century, drama at its best is really serving to effect a catharsis in the soul through pity and fear, and a purging and a cleansing for the soul of the individual and ultimately for the soul of the whole community. The earth science orients the students to understanding the structure of the earth on which we live and various understandings about how that has come into being. The anatomy helps the students understand the physical structure of the body, which is the house in which they live, the understanding the nervous system, the brain and the nervous system, the lungs, the heart, the circulatory system, and of course this metabolic system, which is just coming into its own, this extraordinarily volatile, powerful source of forces beyond imagination and reason. And at the same time, however, that the students are oriented towards the physical world, the history of art helps them get a sense throughout the sequence of time of how the human form has evolved, at least in humanity's representation of it, from the forms in relief in the ancient Egyptian temples, you might say almost embedded in the firmament of the spirit world, to the Greek form stepping out from the background, standing on its own, to the Venus de Milo, the epitome of human physical beauty, and in a way its later Renaissance complement, Michelangelo's David, epitomes of masculine and feminine ideal form in the context of which every adolescent is coming into his or her own form, a way lifting them up and beyond rather than letting them fall into self-absorption, even self-obsession, as can happen with the pornographic pulls of unnourished eroticism. The chemistry course helps the students understand consciously how carbohydrates and photosynthesis interact in the metabolic system of the students themselves. Physics looks out into the things of the world and sees, lo and behold, heat engines in the refrigerator, heat engines in the fast cars, heat engines in the jets and, I mean, the airplanes, not in the jets. I guess that's probably not a strict heat engine. And nevertheless, through this conscious attention outward, the students are able to see that extraordinarily volatile gases and forces can, through the coolness of reason, be harnessed to become directed, effected, efficient, constructive power and force in a way that works for the world. In not only a life stage of great uncertainty, but in our modern times of great uncertainty, students, through their math main lesson on codes and number theory, learn to be able to think mathematically in ways that help them to have confidence that it's possible in uncertainty at least to consider probability. And through understanding something like factorials, 1 times 1 equals 1, 2 times 1 equals 2, 1 times 2 times 3 equals 6, 1 times 2 times 3 times 4 equals 24. The factorial of 5 suddenly becomes 120, and these factorials accelerate to extraordinary degrees. A ninth grade can sit around, look at 20 chairs and 20 students, and figure out that if one student sat in a different chair each day, lo and behold, the possibility of combinations would extend beyond the existence of our whole universe. I can't explain that to you, but Harlan Gilbert can. In the English curriculum, complementing the drama, the unfolding of the history of drama, the other main lesson is the novel, which really is consistent with the physical orientation of the whole ninth grade year. The novel, our most recent form of literature, is rooted in the world of three-dimensional space of our present contemporary time. It schools, it anchors the children and the readers not in the past, the mythic past, but in the present. And when they study Moby Dick, they learn all of the parts of the ship. They draw maps of the world. They know the voyages that Melville himself took, that the Pequod took, and yet they also see that men, in fact, can row after the mightiest, most powerful creature on the globe and capture it and harness it and transform its parts, and especially its oil, into what can give light for reading and understanding, although nevertheless Moby Dick himself remains a picture beneath the surface, usually of this extraordinary, powerful force, like their whole metabolism, which is elusive, beyond grasp of reason, and potentially destructive. Here is an example of the kind of journal writing which we ask our ninth graders to do throughout the year, not talking about all of their sufferings and dreams and hatings and likings and thises and that's, but describing the physical world around them, very simply. However, it's shocking how many of our ninth graders do not see the world around them, and it may be shocking how many of us have trouble actually seeing the world around us. Through our kitchen window, in the distance is a very big northern red oak tree. They have stout branches with leaves that are 7 inches long with bristly, toothed tips. They are dark green in spring and summer, but from fall they change to dark ruby red. The bark is dark gray with long, scaly ridges. Since it is taller than the other trees, it is like a flaming torch in the fall, but right now it is still. The limbs are frozen. The more you and I actually see the physical world around us, the more our adolescents are going to be able to actually see the physical world around us.